organisation, you can imagine, in amongst one or two of these flagships, a lot of interesting work is done on things that don't change quickly. Like if you want to do research into a particular kind of cancer, and you spend 20 years doing that research, and you think when you embark on this journey of 20 years of research that you're going to end up with a solution in 20 years, and perhaps it ends up taking 25 because it was a little harder than you thought. Humans are still humans at the end of that 25-year period, and solving it, even if it's a bit later than you'd hoped, is still a huge breakthrough and is still a huge value proposition for the marketplace and for mankind. In the digital productivity and services space, if we launch some research into an area and within a year or two we haven't got a solution and moved into deployment or licensing or some form of extracting value from that, there's a fair chance that it probably isn't the right problem to be solving anymore. So it's a very, very different kind of environment, and it's one of the reasons why I was quite excited by the opportunity to join CSIRO to help establish this thing called digital productivity and services within the organisation. It's quite an interesting challenge. So this is the construct of this new flagship. It's about a $45 million a year investment, and it's split into three key themes of research. One is around government services and commercial services, and that's things like we do a lot of work with social media analytics for the Department of Human Services. There's a lot of government-related analytics work that we do, mathematical analytics work. We've got a very substantial group of mathematicians who do a lot of work in this digital productivity space for government. We also do things like design new futures markets for a British futures trading company. Very interesting and diverse kind of mathematical work. But there's and I want to show you a couple of examples of some of these sorts of things. The second one is the smart secure infrastructure domain, and that in fact has largely grown out of the wireless work where Wi-Fi and Terry used to work, and is now doing work around using in fact some of that digital dividend that emerges from the analogue TV switch off for very high speed radio communications that is designed for optimising the amount of bandwidth you can get for both consumers in an access network kind of perspective, and we hope one day that will have a home in something like the NBN as it evolves and needs more and more bandwidth. But we are also starting to see the use of that technology for incredibly low latency, high performance financial network transactions, and we're in the process of a very interesting deal with the US market on that technology. But that extends into other forms of infrastructure and securing other kinds of infrastructure as well with information. And the third area is around e-health service delivery. Now this isn't anything to do with our cancer research and other forms of biomedical type research. This is all about service delivery. And to give you an idea, one of the projects we're doing there is we're taking retina scanning equipment, putting it in the middle of the Pilbara and building a communications capability to get the scans all the way to a specialist in Perth who can provide enough feedback to the patient with a remote scan to say, it actually is worth you coming into Perth, which is a 3-day trip in some cases, to have some additional treatment or further analysis. Or in fact, no, everything looks okay and you really don't need to worry about that, just do whatever else they can tell them to do. So that idea of minimising travel and providing service remotely. And we're also extending, or looking at extending that to other forms of remote image collection, things like remote ultrasound collection over that same infrastructure to allow other forms of illness to be at least diagnosed, or at least partially diagnosed, so that you can make a decision about whether that tough journey is actually going to give the patient more trouble than it's worth or not. So things like that are starting to emerge out of that e-health thing. And we also have got some interesting combinations of things happening. We're doing some very interesting predictive modelling work for Queensland hospitals now in the Queensland health system, where we're now able to forecast quite precisely what sorts of injuries and how many are going to flow through emergency wards on any given day, which leads to which beds will be occupied in the hospital. And you might wonder why that's so important. Well, one of the critical things that hospitals do is manage bed occupancy through emergency with elective surgeries. And if they can much more precisely know what emergencies will be flowing into their beds and in which beds, which wards, and what kinds of injuries, then they can far more effectively schedule the the kinds of elective surgeries that then occupy those beds far more efficiently. And that's now delivering really valuable benefits and results in Queensland Health, and we hope to see that extend more widely both across Australia and internationally. And my role in business development is about how to commercialise those sorts of things, and we are moving those sorts of things out of just being supported by the CSIRO scientists and into the domain of real commercialised market opportunity. Now, sitting underneath those three themes of work is the Australian Broadband's Centre for, oh, no, I said it the wrong way around, Australian Centre for Broadband Innovation, ACBI, as we like to describe it. And that is really around how we engage with the external market, how we demonstrate capabilities, and how we do a lot of the marketing and business development activity associated with all of that interesting science. And there are some really interesting projects that are being run out of ACBI to be exemplars in this broadband digital economy environment. And this list of projects here, and it is a long list, and I have no intention of reading through it, but I just wanted to just show you that there are a bunch of things, and they're all quite diverse. They all fit one way or another across those various themes of research that we're doing. And we are constantly looking for new and interesting projects to add to this portfolio of things. And in fact, the smartphone project that we heard about from David Lamb earlier is one of the ACBI-funded projects. So when he refers to the CSIRO colleagues, it's in fact us. And you can see, and I wanted to show you a few of these other examples as well, but literally that was just to give you a bit of a brief. Okay, so final little piece of introductory commentary, I suppose, before I show you some stuff. One of the things we've heard from a number of different dimensions today is what happens in the television environment as applications start to emerge on that environment. Well, we all kind of understand now that the rich innovation environment that's happening on tablets and smartphones has largely been the creation of Apple's App Store as a concept. That idea emerged in 2007. So from an absolutely zero market position, where in fact most pundits in the market prior to that were saying Apple had no place in the mobile phone business, and in fact, why would anybody want to try and invade the space where Nokia and Ericsson are so dominant? And in fact, they got unbelievably criticised by even the sniff of them getting into the mobile market in a share price affecting way. It was a significant analytical review that was done by the marketplace on the fly to say that they were crazy and would go broke trying to invade that space. It's only been, 6 years now, and they are in a pretty different position. There's now 500,000 different applications available through the App Store. There's actually 100,000 apps that are already obsoleted, which would indicate a pretty mature and stable kind of working environment. There have been moments in the last year where Apple has been the biggest company in the world, and it's not just because it sells cool tablets and phones, it's because of the iStore. It's because of the way those 500,000 innovative ideas are generating revenue for Apple